Game developers Quantic Dream had developed this game exclusively for the PlayStation 3 based on psychological thrillers while featuring an interactive drama, titled Heavy Rain. A game that features a story containing many multiple paths and alternatives, and allowing you as the player to follow the story. Does this game have raindrops of success, or is the game miserable as well as it looks? Well, let's begin. The main plot is about a serial killer called the Origami Killer, who secretly goes around the city kidnapping little boys and killing them by drowning them with rainwater. And over the years, this killer had so far killed 8 victims. However, the killer had kidnapped a recent victim named Sean Mars. The police are having no luck searching for the killer or finding any clues, or bring them one step closer to solve the case. You know, stories like this, which are based on solving mysteries and crimes, it tends to get me on my seat, making me wondering what the hell's going to happen next. In the story, there are 4 main characters you play as in each chapter of the story, so I'm going to explain each character's side of the story, so sit back. We're going to be here for quite a while. The first main protagonist, which you'll start off as, is a man named Ethan Mars, who has a career of a sketch artist. Ethan has been suffering from blackouts after losing one of his children by a car accident 2 years ago, and now having himself split up with his wife. Ethan is also the father of Sean Mars, who is the recent kidnapped victim of the Origami Killer. Ethan all of a sudden has to face 5 trials. He must complete these trials in order to get the letters of the name of the address of where his son has been kept. This character has an anxious but a really strong courage of willing to do anything to save his son. I think this character can be a bit too miserable at times, but I would try get used to it if I were you, because you're going to be seeing that from time to time. But other than that, I'm sure we can all understand what he's going through. Although the prologue with Ethan is quite long, but it does give you a decent start to show what his life used to be like.
I love my son. I love my son. If you keep me here, Sean is going to die.
The next main protagonist is another man named Norman Jaden from the FBI. Norman has been sent to assist the police with the Origami Killer case. He has these computerized glasses called the ARI, which stands for Added Reality Interface. Norman uses these glasses to detect and analyze important evidence and documents for irrelevant cases and investigations. And sometimes he uses it when he's bored. He apparently suffers from his addiction to a small blue drug called tryptocane, which is in a small tube. Norman also has to be partners with the police lieutenant named Carter Blake. And oh my god, I hate this character. He is such an arsehole. He beats the shit out of the suspects just to get answers out of them. And it makes the situation worse than it really is. I personally think that's not how it should go in a crime investigation, unless the suspect is fighting back.
You killed them, didn't you, Nathaniel? Are you gonna confess, you bastard?
For the character personality in Norman, most of the time he's calm and civil whenever he's on the case. He does fight back and acts like a little asshole himself, but he only does that for the right reasons, and for that, I really like this character.
The killer is no ordinary murderer. He is intelligent, organized, and methodical. You won't find him by patrolling the streets.
The third main protagonist is a woman named Madison Page, who has a job of a journalist and also suffers from insomnia. Later on, she has her first encounter with Ethan Mars, who has been badly injured from one of his trials, and after getting to know Ethan's situation, she intends to help him out, and Madison also intends to find clues of her own in order to find Sean Mars. I'm not too keen on Madison's personality, although she is generous with others, Sometimes I think she can be a bit bland, because apart from the emotions that she expresses, like happiness and fear and concern a lot of the time, she doesn't really show other expressions like aggressive or indignant. But overall, I do like the character. I don't think she's that bad. And plus, I don't really blame her for looking out for other people.
I don't know, I guess it just seemed like the right thing to do at the time. You needed help, I helped you.
And finally, the fourth and last main protagonist is a middle-aged man named Scott Shelby, who retired from his job as a cop and now is a private detective. He investigates the Origami Killer case by interviewing other citizens who are parents of the Origami Killer victims. Most of these parents weren't really up for answering Scott's questions due to their grief, and I really don't really blame them for refusing, since they've already gone through their grief and want to do their best to move on. One of the victim's parents, named Lauren Winter, soon joined Scott to help his investigation. Okay, that's alright, I guess. I think Scott is a pretty cool character. I like the way how he helps people and how to handle his own situations, and that really makes him a great character to follow.
You haven't done anything serious yet. If you put the gun away, we'll forget about what just happened, and that will be the end of it.
The gameplay is very different. At first, you'll start off with your character in a chapter, and you need to move your character around in the environment. You'll eventually get into a different situation, like using the right analog stick, pressing the buttons and shaking the controller to interact with an activity, like doing some housework, having a conversation with another character, and you have to press 4 different buttons on your PS3 controller to give different types of replies to that person. You can also hold the R2 button while pressing the other 4 buttons to listen to your character's thoughts. This might help you if you get stuck and if you don't know what to do. And finally, the biggest part of the gameplay, quick time events. Whenever you get into a fight or a danger scene, quick time events are mostly there to get your character to avoid a much worse outcome. I understand that some of you guys find quick time events to be pretty tedious. For say, keeping your eyes sharp on the screen while mashing the correct buttons while flicking the analog stick, and by one simple slip up, your character is good as dead, leaving you to start the quick time event all over again. But unlike other games that contains quick time events like Resident Evil, God of War, Spyro Dawn of the Dragon, and Spider-Man 3 the video game, Heavy Rain's quick time events, however, kinda works a little different. Rather than instantly dying and trying again, there's different short outcomes on a brief awkward note, just to describe to you that you have done this bit unsuccessfully. However, if you do miss too much buttons at once, you'll eventually lose the fight, or worst of all, meeting your death. These characters' fate are your responsibility, so stay focused, try not to miss too many buttons, and you'll do fine. Plus, either you pass or fail the chapter, the game will regardlessly continue despite the consequences. So yeah, no game overs. For the game's content, the game's graphics are overwhelmingly realistic. It feels really close enough to what it is in real life, and most of the environment is purposely have miserable weather. But yeah, you guys get it, it isn't called Heavy Rain for nothing. There's going to be a lot of it. For the soundtrack, the music describes a lot of moments of calmness, having pain, creepy build-ups, and happiness while being gentle. It really feels like it's from a film. Have a listen. For the voices and the acting, Pascal Langdale, Liano Kendin and Sam Douglas, a lot of them did great jobs, especially with the emotion. So overall, Heavy Rain is an epic definition of the phrase, every action has consequences. It has a huge variety of choices and paths to choose. Although the game can be miserable, it can be occasionally overlooked, which shows that life isn't always perfectly happy. You guys could say this game comes off more as an actual movie, but it's relying on you as the player to keep the story going. And the game keeps on going no matter how skillful you are at it, or how much you suck at it. I really love how this game tests the player just to see how good you are on your toes and making your own choices. So yeah, this game will never say game over. This game is a must play. For my final score, %90. So this is Armageddon Twee saying thank you for watching, and I'll see you all later.